This particular model has what we call a lid lifter already installed on it. You know that the lid lifter is here because it has this handle with the hinging mechanism, and on this side you can see it's been reinforced with a better quality and higher grade metal that allows the lid to be lighter. So I can lift the lid with just 2 fingers or even 1 finger, and it's very light. What's important about this is once the lid is up, there's two areas on this side where the hinge is to engage the lid to be sturdy and to stay open. So you can have it at this height or you can have it even higher.
First firing from greenware to bisqueware. Before loading or unloading your kiln, turn all the switches to off and ensure that the outside of the kiln is cool to the touch. Check to see when your kiln was last inspected. If more than 2 years have passed since the last inspection, do not use the kiln and contact the Fine and Performing Arts consultant. Ensure that the peephole plugs are all installed. If one is broken or missing, ensure that it is replaced before firing. Place smaller ceramic shelf supports at the base of the kiln to support the bottom shelf. This helps with air circulation and efficiency. Greenware should be fully or bone dry. Test it against your wrist or cheek. If it feels cool to the touch, it still contains moisture and the pieces may be destroyed while firing. Load the clay pieces on the shelf, leaving space for appropriately sized shelf supports if a second shelf is needed. It is okay if the greenware or clay pieces touch for this first firing. When the first shelf is fully loaded, place the second shelves on top of the supports and continue loading.
Once you have your bisqueware inside, you're ready for your bisque firing. So the proper procedures for bisque firing are, the first thing you do is you press stop to ensure that there's nothing going on. Then you're going to go to cone fire. Press cone fire once, enter, and you're going to see that a cone will pop up. Now you're going to enter 04 for our bisqueware, enter. You're going to be prompted for your speed. If it's a bisque fire and the clay isn't too thick, I would go with a medium cone fire, which is here, so medium, enter. And the hold is really for glaze firing, so you don't necessarily need to do that. So you just bypass that by pressing enter. Then you're ready to fire. Press start and you'll hear your kiln start to click, make some clicking sounds and click on just like that. This particular model is our newest model and it has the fan built in to automatically come on. On our older models, the fan has to be turned on manually. So now you're ready to do your bisque firing.
After the kiln is finished firing, allow it to cool down before opening the lid. A gradual cooling is always best. When it is around 400 degrees, you can open the lid slightly using the latch as shown. Second firing, glazeware. Before loading or unloading, turn all switches to off and ensure that the outside of the kiln is cool to the touch. Load the clay pieces in a similar fashion to the first firing, but do not allow the pieces to touch or overlap. If there is glaze on the bottom of a piece and it is touching the shelf or walls, it will adhere to those. Any excess glaze on the bottom of the clay pieces should be removed with a damp sponge. Notice from these pieces that the glaze has been painted on the midsection to avoid touching the bottom.
So today we're ready to do our glaze firing. So I'll walk you through the steps for glaze firing. The first step, as always, is to press stop to make sure that no controls are already entered into the program. The next step is our cone fire, and it will prompt us to preheat. We're going to bypass that. We're going to press enter. Then we're going to go to our cone firing. Our bisque fire was at cone 04, as you see here. But for our glaze firing, we're going to go with what is said on the glaze. And in this particular case, the Spectrum glaze asks for an 05 cone. So I would enter in 05 and enter. And then it's going to prompt for the speed. Now I'm going to continue with a medium speed because I had just bisked my wear. The bisque fire was at a medium speed, so I'm going to continue with the medium speed in this case. Medium, enter. I'm going to do a 10-minute hold because the 10-minute hold is going to ensure we get a nice brilliant color on the glaze. And that means that it's going to hold at the highest temperature for 10 minutes. So I've entered that, and now I'm ready to start. And in about a couple of seconds, you're going to hear the clicking. And again, in this particular model, the fan is already engaged, so you're all good to go. And you'll have some beautiful pottery coming out in about 12 to 16 hours.
Troubleshooting. Ensure that the fuse is properly installed. Sometimes schools will remove the fuse as a safety precaution. Ensure that students understand the proper techniques of slipping and scoring to avoid attached pieces from falling off. If the control pad is flashing, a service call may be required.